So this is episode 27 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm come to share with you all my crafty things. Thanks for watching. So today we've got lots of lovely things to talk about. We've got some knitting, some sewing, some bobbin lace, some blast from the past gadget as normal, some confessions, a couple of Ask Me Anything questions. I have had more of these, but I'm just going to do 2 today, just because we'll be here for about 3 hours otherwise. We've got the new section, What's Occurring, which I tell you what I've been up to in relation to sort of crafty things mainly. A little bit of information on my shop update, and we've got some winners for some of the knit-alongs that I've been hosting. So we've come to an end with the doodle along. So everyone had about 3 months to enter their doodlers into the knit along, and I drew 2 winners for those, so I'll do the draw at the end. We've still got the happy along that's running. So the happy along run from the beginning of September and it's going to go all the way till the end of December. And what I'm going to do is each month I'll just mark the posts that have been posted between the beginning and the end of the month and pick 2 winners and have 2 prizes for each month. So as long as you've been sort of knitting along, just whenever you finish a particular thing, just post it in that month that you finished in, really. Don't worry about whether it's going to be finished for a certain time. It's all relaxed. We're going to do some relaxed, happy knitting for Christmas presents and birthday presents, and it's just all round a happy along. So it's lovely if you come and join us. There's loads of different things that people have been knitting, especially if you look in the finished objects thread. Lots of lovely things. If you watch till the end of the podcast, I'll tell you about the winners and I'll show some pictures of the things that they were knitting. I also had the 2,000 subscriber giveaway, which I mentioned on the last podcast, where we had a couple of things to give away, and I'll draw those at the end as well. So I better get on to the good stuff. So first of all, I always start with a knitting section, and I'll start with my finished objects. So I've got quite a few this time. Surprisingly, they might consist of some socks. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a pair of socks that I started a little while ago, and I think I finished one on the last podcast. And these are the Teasel socks, and this pattern's by Teresa Shingler, and the yarn's also by Teresa Shingler too. Don't look too closely at my socks because this ridge here, it shouldn't be like that. It's just the way I've picked up stitches. I don't think I'm giving too much away, but some of the sock is knitted inside out. So if you're sensible, you'll have picked up the stitches the right way. But I didn't. But these are my pair. So I've got, this is really lovely floral pattern, and it's really easy to follow, I found. So I'd recommend that pattern if you're interested in knitting it. It's really pretty, and I like this sort of textured stitch that's in the heel and the cuff, and also along down the foot. And this lovely yarn's got some really nice speckles of like a green and some purple in there, so they're really lovely. I think I might keep these for myself. So they're kind of in the happy along, but they're just for me, to make me happy. Secondly, I've knitted, I started knitting these on the last podcast, so I thought, Halloween, it's starting. Well, it's over now, but I thought I really must cast these socks on because this yarn here is by Lolo Did It, and it's called Pretty Little Zombies. And there's little speckles of pinks and blues and this sort of greeny colour that sort of reminds me of of like rotting zombies, which is why it's called Pretty Little Zombies. So that's really pretty. Because I really love these colours, I did a nice plain vanilla sock. And I chose to use a little mini that was by Peggy May Yarns, and this is one of the minis I had in one of her mini clubs of one of the months that's just gone by. So she sometimes does some a mini club for like August and September, etc. So it's from one of those sets. I don't think Diane, who runs Peggy May Yarns, is dying anymore, I'm afraid. So that's a little bit sad, but it was really nice to use some of the pink that she dyed up. And I think that goes pretty well. I think it would have been probably better if I'd have gone for a slightly darker pink, but it makes them nice and jazzy and nice and bright, so that's really lovely. I made a mistake on the second sock. Can you notice? What am I doing there? Oh dear. I don't think I'll notice once I've got it on. I didn't actually realise I'd done that until I'd done the heel flap. How on earth I didn't realise, I don't know. But they're really lovely. The Lolo Did It yarn is on their, I can't remember what their base called, and it's got tencel in it, which I've never tried before, which I believe is a plant fibre, and that feels really nice and squishy, so that's quite interesting. I kind of feel like as if it's going towards the cashmere sort of feel for how sort of squishy it is. Not quite cashmere, but that sort of feeling that the tencel gives it, which I haven't tried before. So they're really lovely. So they're for Halloween, and I'm going to hope to wear those every year, so that'll be nice. Oh dear. I've had chocolate again today. It's not a good idea, is it? I thought, well, I found like in the last episode, because I'd had chocolate, I did the whole podcast in sort of one go. So I thought, I should start as I mean to go on. So those are my two sock finished objects. And I've also made a very autumny thing. So I'd seen that Ava from the Charm of It had made some of these gorgeous pumpkins. So I thought I'd have a little go too. So this pattern is called Spice Pumpkin by Hannah Mayer. And I think it's a free pattern on Ravelry, but this is the knitted version, but she also does a clove pumpkin pattern, which is a crocheted version, which is really nice too. So if you're interested, that's a really cool pattern. Really easy to follow, and some nice instructions of how you do these segments around the sides. What I did do that was a bit, I keep making these silly mistakes. I'd actually cast on the pumpkin in 2.5mm needles, and then I did the little stalk in 2.75, so that's why it's slightly bigger, but I think it looks okay. So the pumpkin is made out of some lovely yarn that I got as a mini from the Cassia at Rainbow Cloud, and that's come out really lovely with a nice sort of autumnal tones there with a nice bit of orange, and the little stalk is made out of some hedgerow yarns in the lichen colourway, so they're all lovely soft yarns, so that's quite cute. So I'm going to put that up with my little display. I've got a real pumpkin, and Adam had 3D printed this well, it's like a candle stand, and it looks a bit like the Harry Potter candles that are out of, I think it was the third film. We thought that would look really cool as one of the decorations with my pumpkin too. So there we go. So that's 3 finished objects for this week. You would not believe how many things I've been casting on. It's ridiculous. If you've been watching my tutorials that I've had, you'll know that I started a toe-up sock tutorial, and this is the first sock that I've knitted, and so far I've published how to cast on the toes, how to increase, and then how far you need to knit to make it up to the heel. And next week I'll be showing people how to do the short row heel. And then there'll be a third part, how to do sort of the length of the cuff and then casting off, just to break it down for me, because it takes me ages to record these things. But I finished the first one off, and this is in a lovely Knit Picks Felici, and I have to look at the ball to remember what colourway it is. It's Beyond the Wall colourway. I've had this a little while, so I don't think they sell it in Knit Picks anymore. I have had a moan about Knit Picks before, in that sometimes you have bits of the darker colour in the lighter colour, which I have here, but I'm not too bothered about it because it is sort of on the underside of the foot, so, but that's looking quite nice. It's a bit annoying that the way the colour changes worked. I ended up with a tiny blue stripe through there, but it kind of puts a bit of colour, because otherwise it'd be quite a lot of grey through the centre. That's coming along nicely. I hope you're enjoying the tutorials if you're interested in that sort of thing. Let me know if you've thought of any other tutorials you'd like to see. So that's half a finished object, and I've got another half finished object. So this sock is going to be for my dad for Christmas, so this is for the Happy Along too. I should really post things on the thread as well. So this one is made from a really durable sock yarn. I know this is a different colour, but this is what the yarn is called. It's called Ice, and it's a really it feels quite a rough sock yarn, but it'd be brilliant for my dad because he sometimes makes a right mess of his socks. And it's basically 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide, and it's 400 meters per 100 grams, and it's on their super sock base. And they do a blue colourway as well, which is pictured on this ball. So I've got some purple here. My friend Jean gave me these, so thank you very much, Jean. So these are going to be for my dad, and I'm knitting them for the happy along. So if you've got something you're knitting as a gift, or for Christmas or birthdays, or just to make yourself happy, pop onto the happy along discussion thread on Ravelry and have a chat about what you're knitting. And don't forget to put your finished objects in the finished objects thread, because you could be in for winning a prize. So the prizes for the Happy Along for November are a lovely, lovely sock pattern by Naomi Buchanan. So the sock pattern's called Spellbound Socks, and Naomi's called Cozy Cute Knits on Instagram and on Ravelry if you want to follow her there. But she designed this lovely pattern, and it's just a nice textured stitch. And I had the opportunity to test knit it a little while ago, so I'll pop a picture of my socks that I knitted up there as well. So if you'd like to win that, don't forget to put your entries in for the next November Happy Along. So it's the same thread for all of the month's draws. I just pick the posts that are between the dates the 1st and the 31st, or whatever, the end of each month. And the second sort of prize, well not second, but the other prize that I've got to give out is a snowman bag that I'll be making up and sending it to person. I'll just give you a sneak preview of some of the fabric. I haven't actually made them up yet, but this is the actual snowman. I know that I can't actually sell this bags made of this fabric on my shop because of copyright reasons, so but I can't, it doesn't stop me from giving it away, does it? So those are the prizes we've got coming up for the Happy Along. So what have we got next? So I've shown you the 2 socks that I've casted on. More socks, it's just ridiculous. So I'd been just testing out some of the yarns that I'd dyed, just to knit them up to see what the bases felt like. And I've just cast on a little sock, and this is made out of a high twist base. And I think this is probably my favourite out of the ones that I've dyed up, just for the feel of it. And when you've actually knitted a little bit, you just get a feel of what the yarn feels like. I'm saying feel rather a lot. And I've also started casting on a hat, which I might rip out as well, but just to show you how the dye's sort of speckling up. This is the some of the yarn I showed you in the last episode, which had overall sort of a pale pink colour with darker pink speckles over it, and that's how it's knitting up so far. I've just cast on a random number of stitches, and I don't like how much it stretches when it's on my head, so I might just rip it out, but it just gives me a good idea what this base feels like. So this is a superwash merino and nylon as well, the same as the high twist, but just without the twist it makes it slightly more sort of squishy, I think. But actually I think that the high twist is a bit softer. I'm not sure whether to have a little bit of both in my shop for my hand-dyed yarns, or whether to just pick one of those. If you have an opinion on whether you prefer sort of high twist or regular twisted sock yarn, it'd be interesting to see what you've got to say. So those are the loads of things that I've been casting on. I have to shove them out of the way a little bit. And we should be on to sewing section. So I've done lots of dressmaking. Well, not lots, but a little bit of dressmaking since the last time I spoke to you. So in the last episode, I think I showed you that I'd purchased the Springfield top online as a PDF pattern, and I was going to cut out some fabric ready, and I've actually made up 2 versions of this top. One of them I've actually got in the wash, so I'm just going to show you the fabric. I made it in this sort of grey viscose base with lovely blue flowers on. This goes really, really well with denim, so I was quite pleased with that. Although I've just not washed it quick enough, which is really silly. And it was really crinkled that I chucked it in the washing basket, so I wasn't going to show you my top all dirty and scrumpled up. So I shall show you my other Springfield top. Barbara, can you come and show everybody? So here we are. This is the Springfield top by Cashmerette, and I thought this fitted really, really nicely. It's quite a baggy top at the bottom. But I did think that I'd definitely make a couple more of these ones. So because I'd already made my first version in this blue fabric, I knew that it fit, so I just made it exactly the same. I made sure, because I know that I tend to take a smaller size at the shoulders than I do at the hip and the waist. So I ended up, I think, with a size 18 on the shoulders, because this is an American pattern, the sizes are slightly different. And I think I ended up with a 20 round the waist and the hip. And then I chose the cup size, I think was the G to H. I normally take a UK sort of double D or an E cup depending on the brand of bra, but Marks and Spencer's normally I take a double D. So I ended up choosing the G to H cup in this particular pattern, and I think it fits really nicely. And you might notice that I made it out of the lovely fabric that my friend Jo gave to me, and this is a really gorgeous sort of, it's not a batik I suppose, but it's an African printed fabric that's made of these gorgeous vibrant colours, and I thought that this would go really nicely with like a teal cardigan or something. So that's going to be really nice. I'll just show you the back of the top. It's got quite a high back, and what I tried to do with this panel at the back was actually make it go sort of a different direction, just to give the top a bit more interest. The construction of this top tells you to only cut one of these pieces out, but actually I cut two out and ended up using the other one as a lining piece, just so that I didn't end up with seams. And I used a technique called the burrito technique in order to enclose the seams without having to sort of hand stitch at all. So you can see inside the seams that they're completely enclosed because I used the burrito method. And actually, because this fabric has been hand dyed, it's a little bit like a batik. It looks just as good on the inside as the outside, so you can't really tell. Only that the sort of panels are kind of in alignment rather than in the opposite direction, if you can see what I mean, on the top. So I'm really pleased that I used this burrito method. I will put a link in the down bar so that you can have a look at it if you haven't heard of the burrito method before. So I actually cut out it tells you to put bias tape around the neck and the sleeves, and I cut out the fabric that I used for the rest of the body so it matched perfectly. But on the top that I made out of this fabric, I used a purple bias tape that I bought just from my local fabric store. But I think it was because it was a little bit stiffer than this fabric, I don't think it worked as well as using the same material to do around the sleeves and the neck. But I just top stitched the hems down on the bottom rather than doing bias tape. So there we are, that's my Springfield top by Cashmerette. So Barbara's had a quick change, and this is my kimono that I sewed since the last episode. So I think I showed you a list of patterns that I bought from Sew Over It, and the kimono pattern by Sew Over It was one of those. And I showed you some of this fabric that I purchased from the Knitting and Stitching show, which is a really nice, really soft, super drapey fabric that I had in mind. So I'm really pleased with how this pattern came out, because it's such a drapey, sort of oversized kimono. I just cut out the extra large, and that was really nice on me. I don't know whether it's the most flattering piece because of its sort of baggy and dropped sleeves, but I think it's really comfortable, and I think the fabric is so pretty. It's a really easy piece to construct. I like the fact that there's this band all the way around the neck and down the front. I did find though that when I was attaching this band to the neck, you just have to be super careful about making sure everything is all lined up just over where the side seams are here, because it takes a little bit more fabric from this band than you think, and you could end up pinning it incorrectly all the way around. What I did is I hand sewed this band to the inside rather than top sewing it down to give it a finish so that it was nice and neat. Sorry Barbara, I'm showing your bra now. And I'm really pleased with how it came out. So yeah, I did all the insides with nice French seams because I think with such a drapey fabric it's nice to finish it off nicely. And I'll give you a bit of a closer look to the camera. So you can see how they're like French seams on the inside, and I've just hand sewed all that down. But that's come out really nicely, and as you can see it's a really lovely, really soft drapey fabric, so that'll be a nice piece for my wardrobe. So I haven't done masses of my bobbin lace butterfly, but I can show you how I've been getting on so far. So you can see how the first wing is completed, and all the ends that I've got from that first wing are just are knotted, but they're just hanging ready to be finished off. And I've started the second wing. It's difficult to hold it up. See if I can get the camera a little bit closer. So there we are. So I've just got half of the second wing to go, and then there's some pieces at the top of each of the wings that need to be finished in a darker colour. So that'll be hopefully be finished by the next time I show it to you. So next section is Blast from the Past. So I thought I'd come and show you my little bit of basket weaving I did a little while ago. Well, quite a few years now, but this is the first ever basket weaving I've ever done, and to be honest I haven't done much since. I really wanted to, but there's just so many things to do. It was really cool how you sort of created this cross section and then wound the bits of willow all the way around that to create a base, and then you bent these spokes upwards to then make the area to make the size of your basket. So that came out quite good. I just use it to pop bits and bobs in downstairs to keep them tidy. So I really enjoyed that, and I would like to do some in the future. I've in fact got a kit to make a bigger basket, but you have to soak the willow for about 6 hours in water to moisten before you can start weaving, and I just never think long enough ahead to soak the wood in order to be prepared to make it, you know. I just think, oh, I'd like to make it, but I can't because I have to soak the wood for so long. So I have to be a bit more organised and get doing some more basket weaving. So I'm really chuffed about that though. Adam made the same basket too. I should have brought his to show you, but his had just a slightly shorter handle on. Mine looks a little bit bent because I messed it up a bit. His was much better than mine. Right, so we're on to my gadget now. So I had a message from one of the people on those social media, and I'm really sorry but I can't remember who it was. But thank you ever so much for asking, because I was thinking, what can I do next for my gadget? But this time I'm going to do my cam snaps tool, which is this crazy looking thing here. So if you don't know what cam snaps are, they're the plastic snaps that I use on my DPN cases that you can open and shut. And I prefer these to some of the metal ones that you can get because they attach to the fabric much more securely. So they're called cam snaps. This size, I think it's called a T5. Oops, I'm throwing it around everywhere. This is a T5 size, which I tend to use, but I think there's a T8 as well, which is a nice, slightly smaller, a bit more delicate sort of looking. But I thought I'd just show you how I attach them on. So I just grab a piece of material just to show you, and I use a pokey thing that I have. I picked this up from the Knitting and Stitching show from a random basket, and there was no name of what it was called or anything, but anything that you could sort of use to make a hole. You could use the end of a pair of sharp scissors just to create a little hole into your fabric. So you just end up with a small hole like this, just so that you can pop the end of your outside bit of your cam snap through the hole like so. You can just about see. There we go. And you have two inside parts. There's a sort of a male and a female that sits that fits inside each other. And you've got to make sure that you put the opposite on each side of your fabric, otherwise it won't fit together. So I'm going to put the female side on here, and I've just popped it over that little hole so that you can see that bit sticking up in the centre. Then you get your tool, and if you line up this plastic bit with a smooth edge onto the base, see if I can try and do it the other way around, onto the base of this cam snap fastener, and then you've got your part with the sharp bit sticking up on the top, well not sharp bit but pokey bit sticking up on the top, and then you just literally squeeze it. I'll have to just put it down to squeeze it, there we go. And that has squashed that spiky bit from the centre and secured that to the material. So if I do the same to the other side, so I've poked a hole in my material, put the outside of my cam snap through with the pokey bit coming through, use my male side this time with a little bit sticking up in the centre, put that over the little snap thing, and then use this tool, line it up at the bottom first so that the base is sort of secure in the cup thing at the bottom, and then make sure it's all lined up and then squeeze it shut. There we go. Just takes a little bit of force to squash it in, and you can see inside now that's all squashed in the same as that, and you can see more clearly now that this is the female and this one's the male fastener. And then if you snap them together, there we go, that forms your little press stud. So there we go. I hope that helps. So that's the gadget section, and now we're going to move on to confessions. Now I have a real confession to tell you about this time. I completely forgot that at the Knitting and Stitching show I might have purchased 2 more balls of yarn that I completely forgot about, but they're only 50-gram balls. So I'm going to show you them now. I'm guilty. So I saw on the Bergère stall, that's my rubbish French pronunciation, sorry, that they had these 2 sock yarns. And I'd seen these on various Instagram things, and I had to look around some shops. I'm sure you can get hold of them online, but I'd never seen them in the shop. So I saw these and I thought, oh, I need those. So this one's a lovely sort of green, white and black shades. And I just bought small balls because I thought I could do little shorty socks with them to not be too indulgent, because I wanted one of each. And this has got some pale pinks and beiges and some sort of darker pink speckles in. So that's really nice. I wonder if they've got some colour names. Oh, this one's called Beige, Imprim Beige. I'll just show you what it says because I'm bound to pronounce it incorrectly. And this is called Imprim Joie, something like that. You can see how rubbish I am at pronouncing things. So those are my big confession I forgot to tell you about. But in fact, I've only bought one thing this week, so I've been very well behaved. I had a sort of my knitting bags out, and I decided that I needed some new scissors because I have a pair of scissors in every knitting bag and a little notions pouch in every knitting bag, which is very naughty really. But I needed another pair of scissors. So these are from Millward, and I think I picked them up from Amazon or somewhere, but I just saw them and thought, oh, they're so pretty. These gorgeous colours that sort of shine when you move the scissors around. I can't resist these stalk ones anyway. So cute. So I've got yet another pair of scissors. But that's it. I've been so good. I haven't bought anything else. I don't think one pair of scissors in 2 weeks is too bad at all. I can buy some more for next time then. Oh dear. Anyway. So we've had quite a few questions on the Ask Me Anything thread since the last episode. What I've chosen to do is not do them all in one episode because it would just be ridiculously long, but just take 2 people's questions and answer those, and then do the next, because I think I've got 3 more to answer, and do those on the next episode. So if I don't answer your question in this episode, I'll do it in the next one, hopefully. So the first question's from Hanny from the Netherlands, and she's Annie KK on Ravelry. Thank you, Annie. So she says, did you have sewing classes or did you teach yourself sewing? Well, I suppose it all started with a bit of cross stitch when I was really, really young. I think I probably was about 6, I think, when I started doing cross stitch, but only very basic things on very wide Ada. And then I started doing a bit of dressmaking when I was about 13, I think. I think we started doing textiles at school and I really started to get into it. I think I had a bit of help of my auntie, who used to actually make wedding dresses for a living, and she used to give me a few tips there. But she wasn't very well, so I didn't pick up as much as I could have done from her, really. I really wished I could have sort of asked her more questions and things at the time, but sometimes you just don't know what questions to ask, if you know what I mean. But she was a wonderful dressmaker. I had another auntie as well who unfortunately died when I was quite a lot younger, who used to make all sorts of things like knitting and dressmaking and everything, so they were a bit of an inspiration for me. So like I said, with doing projects at school, I then started doing things at home. I did really enjoy making things, but unfortunately I didn't sort of have loads of money to go buying fabric all the time, so I didn't make really nice new things out of proper patterns and things at that age, just because of lack of money. I used to sort of unpick old pieces of clothing that we didn't want anymore and redesign them. If anybody's ever seen the film Pretty in Pink, you'll know that there was a girl in there that had 2 dresses. One her dad had bought her for like this ball, and then she unpicked them both and reworked them together, so I fancied myself as a little bit like her. But then I didn't really do any sewing till after, or when I was at university we had a May ball, and I thought, oh, I'll make my ball gown. But unfortunately I only started it 2 days before the ball, because I was looking around in the shops for one first. But I did manage to make a ball gown in 2 days. It was a burgundy long dress with little strappy sleeves, and actually it turned out alright, surprisingly. And then I probably didn't do any proper sewing until about 5 years ago, I think, again. So I haven't made... There was quite a period of time in between where I just was too busy doing a PhD and things, so I just didn't pick it up. But once I got inspired again in the last 5 years, I've liked making lots of things, so lots of teaching myself off videos as well, really. Unfortunately both my aunties have passed away now, so I can't really chat to them about things, but I like to think that they'd be proud of me sort of keeping the family tradition, because I don't think my mum is absolutely useless. She doesn't sew anything. Hi Mum! She'll kill me for mentioning her. So there we go, I've rambled on enough about that. So we've got another question off Georgina. Now Georgina is Honey Pottery on Ravelry, and she's from Lincolnshire. Hi Georgina! So we've got a question, where did I get Barbara? So Barbara, I actually got second hand from a friend who used to do a lot of dressmaking, but she just didn't do it anymore, so I bought it off her, and I think I got it for about £30, which is an absolute bargain. Barbara had hardly been used, really, but if you can't find them second hand, I know that the model that Barbara is from a shop called John Lewis, but she's adjustable in several areas, and I shall give you a little demonstration, because that is part of Georgina's second question. So this is Barbara. I normally have one of my bras on her to make her bust area a little bit bigger, because I'm a little bit more well endowed, Barbara. So there's several areas that she can be adjusted. She can be adjusted here, so it does across the bust area, in the waist area here, and also down at the bottom here to do the sort of hip area. There is also adjustments on the sides in the same areas and on the back as well. And you can also adjust her around the neck. It's good for adjusting the hips and the waist measurements, but because my actual cup area is slightly different, I like to put a bra on there, and quite often I'll put socks in the bra so that it makes the area a little bit more extended. So she's not an actual perfect sort of fit for me, because the even though I can adjust sort of the under bust to the same width as mine and the over the bust the same, you can't do a perfect change for the actual cup size as such. The best thing you can do is just put a bra on and stuff it to your size. I could, if I could be bothered, sort of pad Barbara out so she was exactly the same size as me, but I tend to just use her for rather than fitting, I just use her for sewing things on and just getting a look of what the garment looks like, how it sort of hangs. Georgina also asked, does she spin? She does spin. She does squeak a bit when she spins. I shall just show you what her legs look like down here. Georgina also asked what sort of materials I use for the muslin or the twirl. I tend to use, generally I use like a cheap calico material, or sometimes if I've got curtain material that's quite thin, I'll just use that because it's what I've got instead of sort of wasting. So, but it is important that you don't use some with any stretch at all. So I think that answers your question, Georgina. So like I said, I did have some more questions on the Ask Me Anything thread on the Ravelry group, but I'll get to those in the next session. They were really good questions, so thank you guys. If you do have any more questions, pop them in the Ravelry group thread, Ask Me Anything, and I'll get to those questions as soon as I can. So we're on to the next section, what's occurring. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what I've been up to in the last couple of weeks. I think it's interesting anyway. So last weekend my parents were down and we went over to the Norfolk Quilters quilt show that was over in Sprouston in Norwich area. And we had a look at some really, really lovely quilts. There was a couple of them that had so many different pieces on, they look fantastic. I shall pop some pictures up here of some of the quilts that we saw. It was really nice to see that the local people had made such inspiring pieces. There was things from sort of handbags and cushion covers to full-size quilts or smaller quilts as well, so it was really nice to see. So if you do see, I think it occurs every 2 years, so if you are in the Norwich area and on the next time they have it, it'll be in 2 years, it's really worth having a look because there are a lot of talented people in Norfolk. And you got to vote for your favourite quilt, which was so difficult. There was just so many that were lovely and for different reasons, so it was really difficult to pick your favourite one. So that's what we did when my parents were down. And we've also had Halloween since the last time I podcast. So we had a great time decorating the house, even though we don't have any children. So our little road has got a lot of families living around here. So there's a lot of people on Halloween go around trick-or-treating all dressed up fabulously. So we decided to decorate the house to have a bit of fun, and Adam is really into his electronics, so he made this cauldron. So it was just a plastic cauldron, but you put water inside, and this little device, I don't know what you call it, you put it into the water and it creates like a steam, not a steam, like a mist from the water, so it looks all spooky, and there was some lights in there as well, so that was really cool. If I can work it out, I'll stick the little video beside me of the little cauldron running. And we also put a fake copy of the potions book out of Harry Potter on the table, and you might be able to see the little candle holder that I've got behind me on the table as well in the video. What I forgot to take pictures of was a massive great big spider that was about this big that we put over the garage door, which scared some of the kids a little bit. I'm sure they were all right. So that was great fun. Oh, and also Adam played a little bit of the Harry Potter theme tune music out the window so that as they could see the cauldron bubbling, they could hear this music. And he put a stick that was motorised, so it stirred. It was held by this thread from above, and it was moving so that it looked like it was stirring the potion, so that was quite cool. So I thought you might be interested in seeing what that looked like. And what we've been watching is Stranger Things. Has anybody else been watching Stranger Things? It's so scary but so good at the same time. I can only cope with one episode at a time because it's too stressful. We're on episode 5, so don't tell me what happens yet. I won't spoil it for you guys either. Now we're on to the shop update section. So first of all, actually I put these up before the last shop update, but I thought I'd show you them. They're little badges that I had made up with the Craft House Magic logo on there, which I think are quite cute. They've just got a regular sort of pin badge on the back, and they're made by this company called Camaloon, and I thought that they were quite nice and sort of sturdy for that sort of style badge. So they're available on my shop if you're interested. So I've got a couple of sheepy things on the shop. There's some sort of sheep DPN cases. I'll just run through these quickly so I don't bore you. Some bags with like little sheep scenes on, and what I didn't realise is if you look really closely there's stars in there and sort of what look like Christmas trees, so it's like a slightly Christmas themed sheepy bag. And that's got my usual sort of white lining and pocket in there. I've got a couple of sort of butterfly themed bags that are printed fabric. This one's got a little handle on just to make it easier to carry. I've started doing some drawstring bags, and these have got some little appliqued hearts and butterflies on, and I've done some free motion quilting with the name of the shop as well on the back with a little heart. So they're lined with the same fabric as they've got the applique on the front, and they're like a nice drawstring. There we go. I did have some of a different material as well, but they've all sold out already, I'm afraid. So I've had a little go with some more drawstring bags. I've got some of the button ones available, and some little, I love this fabric. I can't remember what the name of the designer is, but it's just got such cute little prints on, and it's a little drawstring, and I've put some gorgeous blue matching fabric with my label in there. There we go. And I'll just lastly show you, this is some fabric that I've been meaning to use for a while. This is the sort of medium sized bag, and I've got a larger size bag that takes up to about 5 skeins of yarn, and I've just got my label and a little pocket in there. So yeah, this one will take about 4 skeins, and it comes with a little Christmas tree. I've got Christmas on the brain. A little tree progress keeper as well as the ribbon. The larger ones have got handles, and these medium-sized ones I've just put a tab so that you can hook one of those handles on if you want to. So if you'd see any of the bags that you like and they sort of have got handles or haven't got handles, I can always add or take away if you're not happy with the way it looks. So just contact me if you see something like that in my shop and you want to chat to me about it. So I'll just pop those out the way and we will talk about the prize winners. So we'll start off with the Doodle Along prize winners. So I've got 2 winners, which I chose using the random number generator. There were 12 posts that were finished doodlers. They were fantastic. So if you have a look at those, they're just such different colours and a bit of inspiration for somebody who wants to start knitting the doodler and just have an idea where to put colours. So the first winner is for this lovely bag from Fondant Fibre with these little birds on, which is so cute, and it's got a little birdie progress keeper on as well, and it's a really good sized bag. I think you could at least get 4 skeins of yarn in there, and it's got a box bottom. So the winner of this one is, for the Doodle Along, is So Can Joe. So congratulations, Joe. If you PM me and with your address. Right, so second prize is one of the patterns from Stephen West. So the person who wins this can pick whatever Stephen West pattern they like. I'll gift it to them. So the winner is Susan Godfrey. So congratulations, Susan. If you personal message me which of the patterns you'd like, and I'll send it over to you. So we've got the 2,000 subscriber giveaway prizes now. So the first prize was the Progress Keepers. And I've just left these in the bag, even though you can't really see them all properly. But if you look at the last episode, you'll be able to see them. So these are from Chapel View Crafts. And they're lovely handmade Progress Keepers by Cheryl from Chapel View Crafts. And the winner of these is Corinne Finch Fitzpatrick. So congratulations, Corin. If you send me a personal message either on Instagram or Facebook or by email, I shall link by email below if you want to email me. That might be easier, with your address so I can send these over to you. So the next prize is the lovely needle minder by Chapel View Crafts as well. And these were ones that I asked Cheryl to make especially for me, so I had 2 made so I can give one away to you guys. So this one is going to go to Rachel Birch. So there we go, Rachel. So again, if you'd like to email me or personal message me through Ravelry or Instagram, I'll get that posted out to you if you send me your address. And the third prize was this yarn that I dyed in a sort of autumnal colourway. And the winner of this is Deborah Morse. So again, if you'd like to contact me, I'll get this sent to you if you send me your address. So now we're on to the Happy Along prizes. There's so many prizes on this episode. So we've got 2 prizes for the Happy Along for the October draw. And they are a snowman bag made by me, which I haven't finished yet. I will get it done to you as soon as possible. This is basically the fabric that I'm going to be using. So the first winner of the snowman bag, project bag, is Sarah Jo 22, I think. I can't read my own handwriting. So it's lovely Sarah who'd knitted her daughter's some gorgeous birthday sheep. I'll pop a picture up there so you can see what it looks like. So that's going to you, Sarah. So send me a personal message with your address and I can get that posted out to you. And the second prize is some Christmas yarn that I dyed, which I've shown on the podcast before. And this is on a sparkle base, so it's not sort of like the Christmassy theme, because a lot of these things we're knitting along gifts, mainly for Christmas. The winner of this is Paula. So thank you so much, Paula. Paula is PLC1 on Ravelry, and you've won this lovely skein of yarn. Well, I hope you think it's lovely. I dyed it, so I can't really judge. And Paula had made this gorgeous pumpkin in colour work, and I'll pop a picture up here so you can see it. So I think that's everything really. So we'll have some more prize winners for the Happy Along at the end of November, so don't forget to put your finished objects in there. So keep crafting. Bye!